All right, take two. Let's try this again. Yes, I am back. Not sure why it took me so long to get back. This has been a pretty entertaining past couple of years if you're a Republican/conservative. If you just watch the meltdown from the left, it's been very entertaining, and I've been enjoying every second of it, particularly the primaries, watching Bernie get absolutely demolished by Biden, and Biden being an absolute nutcase and can't string together a sentence. I'm pretty sure once you were talking about your leg hair and how kids were rubbing your legs, you need to stop talking. But regardless, so it's been entertaining. What I wanted to talk about today was from a tweet I saw on Twitter. I'll put the link in the description to the tweet. It's from a Reagan O'Hanley. He posted a video of a woman being carried away in cuffs by two police officers. I shouldn't say carried, but escorted off of a playground by two police officers. She's being arrested. It's saying, pretty much the tweet says, "Mother arrested in Meredian, Idaho for letting kids play in park. This has gotten out of control. Stop arresting free Americans for being outside with their families." So just a couple frameworks right there. So she's being arrested for letting her kids play at the park, and she's getting arrested for being outside with her family. So those are kind of the two things that we're dealing with. I will put another link in the description to the whole video. It's about a 20-minute video taken by one of the woman's friends. It was a Facebook Live, and it's the whole thing. It kind of shows you what happened, and you can kind of get a good idea from the video, especially if you match it up with the police media statement from Meredian. And what it comes down to is there were a bunch of people at the park, and specifically at a playground. The playground was closed. It possibly had caution tape and metal signs that said it was closed, and those were taken down. The police said it was taken down before they got there. So they confront pretty much everybody on the playground saying, "Hey, you have to get off the playground. You can go to literally anywhere else in the park and be over there, but you cannot be on the playground. No one can be on the playground. The playground is closed." And this was a real hot button issue for a lot of people, and they really just wanted to be on this playground. So the police officers were talking to pretty much everyone on the playground, telling everyone to get off. There was a handful of people who were kind of like, "Okay, why do we have to get off the playground? Why do we have to do this? Why aren't you wearing masks?" And a whole bunch of stuff. Just that standard. You see it a lot with sovereign citizens and people they're hanging around with. Just that constant badgering of police officers. That's very agitating for me. And so eventually, in the midst of all this, this one particular lady, her name is Sarah. I can't remember her last name. She was one of the big agitators. She was just badgering the cop, and then eventually the cop kind of broke. And you see this with sovereign citizens as well, as the cop tells you over and over and over and over again. He gives you lots of chances, and then he's got a snapping point, and he tells a lady, "Get out of the park, get out of the playground, or I'm going to arrest you." And he's like, and then she kept going. He's like, "You got 5 seconds." And eventually he's like, and then she says, "Fine, arrest me for being here." And she turns around, puts her hands behind her back, and he arrests her and escorts her off. And that's kind of where the tweet video kind of picks up, where you'll see them escort her to one of their vehicles. And the whole time they're being badgered by the other adults there. You can hear guys, one guy just yelling, "This is your taxpayer money," just saying, and just kind of making it like this very, like, framing it in this Orwellian kind of idea, like, hey, the government's crashing down, taking our rights away. In one of the news reports around the subject, you can see some of the protesters and their signs. They're quite amusing. That it pretty much equates to that. There's one that says freedom over fear and a whole bunch of random weird stuff. I think people are maybe taking it a little bit too far with the protests. But I mean, I think that's the nature of protests anymore, wouldn't you think? So the big thing around so that I've seen around, I mean, these are mostly conservative circles, is that this is pretty much a violation of freedom. This is the government coming down, and I think this is kind of where I go, let's think about this one a little bit. This particular situation. So the park's not closed, it's the playground. What do kids do? They touch everything and put their hands in their face all the time. So regardless if it's their eyes, nose, mouth, whatever. So, and they're going to touch everything on that playground. And so if you have a bunch of kids doing that, that's a very, very easy way to spread a virus that can live for anywhere from a day to 3 days, depending on the surface. Can last 3 hours in the air. And it can, all you have to do is touch it and then rub your eyes. There you go. You have COVID-19. All you have to do is rub it, pick your nose. You have COVID-19. That's it. I mean, and guess what kids are gonna do? They're gonna rub their eyes, they're gonna pick their nose, and they're gonna put their hands near their mouth. And that's where that issue comes from. I mean, because they're not gonna go, oh, should I be touching this right now? Let me go ask mother if I have some gloves. No, especially if they've been in quarantine and they've been following the stay-at-home order and they just want to go and do something and release some energy. Yeah, that's what kids are gonna do. I mean, I know nobody's got gloves on, nobody's got masks on. It's a cluster. I'd be like, yikes! No, there's no way I'd be anywhere near that park at that time. And so it's a hazard. It's a hazard to have kids play on the playground. It makes sense, and I don't think it's a huge issue. I know there are some circles that are saying, well, they're going to take your rights away and they're going to get more power and they're not going to give it back. I'm like, you think they're going to keep the playground? Relax. You're going to get the playground back. Calm down. And the one thing that really triggered me in this video is towards the end when it's the Facebook Live video where the woman is kind of recapping the situation. She goes on to say that the COVID-19 is got a 1% mortality rate. Based off official numbers, no. Or not 1%, 0.1%, sorry. So she equated it to the flu, which a lot of people do. And that's a frustrating argument within itself. We don't have nearly enough information to go off literally anything. If we are to base just off of confirmed U.S. numbers, it's a 5% mortality rate as of right now. That's no bueno. That's very, very bad. Obviously, it's probably not that, just based off of there are still cases. So that 5% number is accounting for cases that haven't been resolved yet. There are people who could develop or could catch coronavirus and not develop symptoms. So there's just a lot of like, we don't know what the numbers are. But to say, hey, it's just 0.1%, it's just a flu, that's not good. And another argument I hear a lot of time is, oh, the flu, did you know the flu killed 20,000 people, killed 30,000 people every year? And I'm like, okay, so we're at 46,000 people dead, and it's been 3 months. I mean, granted, it's exploding because no one knows how to handle it. I mean, we don't have vaccines, we don't have shots to prevent it, so there's a lot of things that kind of play into that number. But if we wanted to scale it up to the amount of people who get the flu every year, then we're going to see more deaths. So I don't think just kind of I think it's pretty irresponsible to look at COVID-19 and say, it's just the flu. It's got a 0.1%. It's not that big a deal, and just really play it off and act like it's not a big deal. That's a huge issue, because I know people in my family, specifically my dad, he'd die if he got COVID-19. That's just all there is to it. Not being hyperbolic in any sense of the phrase, he would actually die. He's in the hospital. He's trying to recover from surgery. Game over. I obviously have grandparents who are not in the most ideal health. I have relatives who do have compromised immune systems. So, it's not just as easy as just saying, well, I'll be fine. Because me, personally, I'd probably kick the crap out of COVID-19. Probably wouldn't be an issue. But people around me that I could possibly transmit it to, that's where it becomes an issue. Now, all that being said, I do realize the importance of making sure the economy is still going, because if you shut everything down, especially with the way things are moving right now, very slowly, shutting everything down isn't really the best answer either, because then we have just a different problem. So we got to go, and I understand there's a balancing act. Okay, so how much economy do we do compared to how much people should be staying at home? And that's another problem that we really need to weigh. And that's, yikes, I'm thinking about it right now. It's like, it's really hard. Okay, so do we keep it the way we are now, just let essential people go out? Regardless, with the essential, there's still a lot of people who are still out of work. There's a lot of people who are unemployed now based off of the current climate, and that's a whole issue within itself. And how do you approach that? So I understand the frustration of the people who are saying, open up America, or open up Idaho, or wherever people are wanting to open up, because there are people who are really adversely affected. And I don't think either side is right. I don't think we need to shut everyone down and tell everybody to crawl in a hole and wait until it's good, and then hopefully after everything's gone that we're still okay. But I don't think that we'd just be like, hey guys, just go back to normal, everybody get out there and start doing your thing. I don't think that's a really responsible idea either. We need to figure out how we can get more people working again, while at the same time being as safe as we can. And that's a really difficult issue, and I'm not going to solve it in this video. I can almost guarantee you that, as much as I'd love to. But that's a really, really big issue, and there's a lot of pros and cons to weigh, and we'd be here for a really long time. So yeah, this is a bit of a shorter video. There's not much to say on the subject outside of those more PSAs and actual opinions. As much as I love to rail against the left, I think this is one where I'm gonna have to rail against my side, because as much as I'd love everything to be up and going again, these are pretty rough issues, and I think we should take them just a tad bit more seriously. We don't need to shut everything down and hide in a hole, but maybe need to at least say, hey, maybe not say, hey, it's just a flu, or hey, mortality rate is 0.1%, because in all that stuff, none of us know. So I think as of right now, be safe, go outside if you have to. Just protect yourself. If you can't protect yourself when you go outside, stay inside. And that's not partly just protecting yourself, but protecting other people that may be in a vulnerable position. And I think that's what we could all do for each other, and give that much, just to say, hey, let's, at the very least, if I can't stay inside for myself, stay inside for other people. And I think maybe that's where we can find some common ground and just kind of agree on, like, hey, we want to keep other people healthy as well. All right, that's all I got for this one. I guess not short video, 15 minutes. Jeez, I can talk. I do want to make another one. I have it planned out right now, railing against some guy who thinks anarchism is socialism. So that'll be fun. So I'll talk to you guys later. So I just realized that I said talk to you later, when in all reality I'm probably just talking at you, if anybody. All right.